Hey everybody, Marty and Andrew here. Andrew,
Marty.
we're about to do a rewind of the Detroit Become Human trailer.
Yeah, newest game from Quantic Dream.
Yep, the developers of Omicron, Indigo Prophecy, which was
Heavy
also
Rain.
called Fahrenheit, Heavy Rain,
Yep,
and
Beyond Two Souls. I like this new subtitle thing they're doing.
Yeah, they're doing the subtitle
It's
thing.
interesting. The logo itself actually almost looks like Beyond Two Souls logo, like the way it has like the subtitle below it. Yeah.
This is the trailer that premiered during Sony's Paris Games Week conference, and it doesn't give us any hints as to what the gameplay is. We assume it's going to be sort of a choose-your-own-adventure, QTE-driven thing like the other games, but there's a lot of cool things in the trailer that we want to sort of pinpoint and talk about, including the obviously titular setting, Detroit. And that's sort of the first thing we look at here is Detroit is called the Android City.
Which is really interesting because, you know, real-life Detroit is obviously the Motor City, known for a lot of the automobile industry.
Old Henry Ford.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, the idea, I actually love the idea of kind of in the future that industry is replaced because in real life Detroit, obviously unemployment's really high right now.
Yeah, which
those
we're
industries
seeing
seem
a lot of
better days.
that here with, I mean, this is obviously like the remnants of what you assume is the automobile industry.
Yes.
I imagine this is not the Android factories that we're seeing later. Those would be much more high-tech and advanced. And obviously we see a lot of the just abandoned neighborhoods, the broken husks of homes.
Which I love. I love that you see, like the for sale sign and all this. And I love that they're showing even the residential part of kind of outside the city, Michigan. You know, I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. And we don't know if this is like, if this is actually, I like the idea that they're, you know, we see later the city's very futuristic, but there are still certain parts of it that like have that, you know, late 20th century feel to them.
Totally.
This is, I got the name of this fist. It's the Joe Louis fist.
Oh,
Joe
wow.
Louis, he was a boxer, and he also, the fist represents his fight with Jim Crow laws. Fun fact. So you get a lot of Detroit, you know, despite being known as the Motor City, is also one of the center of the civil rights movement.
Which is really interesting, and there are almost shadows of that in kind of the protests you see later.
Yes, absolutely. Which, you know, again, it makes sense that David Cage would set the game here. This statue is called the Spirit of Detroit, and in the background is the little engram that says, now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit is, the Lord is, there is liberty.
That man there was also the first android.
Yeah, a man
that's not
chooses,
true.
a slave obeys.
No, that's really interesting, and I like that they maintain that. I like they maintained actual Detroit real-life settings and landmarks. Now, this is really cool.
Yeah, so this is our last shot of sort of like what we know as Detroit, and this is where we get into sort of new Detroit.
And I love this because these shots are sort of remakes of Kara, which is a PS3 tech demo from 2012, I believe.
2012. They worked on it in 2011, and then they debuted it, I believe, at GDC 2012.
And it's really interesting because like the heart right there, and kind of as Kara is being built, is really like I watched the Kara trailer and this back to back, and it is crazy. Kind of seeing this sort of remake of it looks so much better in every way.
Yeah, it doesn't say. I mean, obviously, it is a generation better in terms of hardware, but yeah, I mean, go back and watch the Kara trailer. But the gist of it is, it was the same actress, Valerie Curry, who you might know from Veronica Mars and The Following. She played Kara in the original and plays Kara in this game. But sort of her whole thing was she was this android, and the androids were made to sort of serve any purpose. They could be for sexual pleasure or for sort of labor or slavery or to be sort of a maid. And she, while being created, just all of a sudden developed emotions. And the sort of the system was like, well, we can't have that, so we're going to tear her apart. But then she like cried out and said, I'm scared. I don't want to die.
It's really, the performance in it is amazing. Kind of just an amazing short film. And I'm really excited because they after that released a demo called The Dark Sorcerer, which is their PS4 tech demo. But I'm actually happier they revisited this world because I'm excited to see it fleshed out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we see her, she's sort of this lone android who's able to walk around autonomously, and you know, she has the freedom. And then you have all these signs, you see these, you know, Detroit is now this sort of bustling center of industry because of the android movement, and you see all sorts of advertisements in the background for, you know, for shopping for all this company called CyberLife, which may or may not be the company that is, you know, creating the androids. And we don't know if there's, you know, competing companies or if it's like if this CyberLife has sort of monopolized what the android movement is.
And I love the idea that so they show a couple androids here in a second that have model numbers, and then you see some more later. There's the L series, the R series, cars from the A series. But I like that you get the sense it's like buying a car.
Yes,
it is like,
absolutely.
It is
a tool of any sorts.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's really cool. They've obviously been around for a while, and that you see older models and newer ones. Really interesting.
We have a look here. This security guard that's on the left-hand side of the screen is wearing a lot of the clothing that that certain androids have shown. So there's androids could even be security for.
I think he has the triangle, on the chest too.
Sort
yeah,
of that insignia. But then you also get a really quick glimpse of this fist, this sort of human rights.
A human resist, I think it says,
so
yeah.
you imagine that there are people who are sort of stepping up and saying, if the androids are, taking people's jobs, that they're sort of standing against this, which we see later.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, all of this is like creating a really cool setting, and that there's this culture of kind of humans versus androids starting to rise up.
You see this new model out now. It's like a scary sort of reminder of like what it's like when a new iPhone comes out, where there's billboards everywhere in the city, and it's crazy to think that these people are just, being doled out in the same way.
Yeah, there are a lot of really interesting themes with civil rights. You see some kind of segregation coming up in the trains. It's super interesting.
Yeah, and this is that cool symbol where it starts to rain, and everyone pulls up their umbrellas, and she's the only one. So it's that I walk among them, but I am not one of them. That was from Lost.
Oh, very well done.
Thanks, man. Yeah, this is haunting too. This temporary parking thing.
Yeah, because they're not even considered people or anything but a utility.
In
they
San
do
Francisco,
jobs.
we have those like bikes you can rent out for an hour or two. This looks like one of those bike racks.
Yep. And I like that they're the LM100, which seems like kind of an earlier model. But
which is crazy.
Maybe that's like the base level model.
Yeah, the base level, or if different models have different, if there are combat bots, or if there are sort of companion bots or shopping bots.
This is like the Honda Civic of people.
Yeah. Yeah, right. This is an interesting thing too, because we have the riots. Obviously, this is an anti-Android group who's fighting against this Android.
You see a lot of like ban Android sign.
Totally.
Give us our jobs.
Yeah. But this is an interesting thing. I assuming it's obviously not the character, but this is looks extremely like Scott Shelby, who was I guess we won't go into spoilers, but he was one of the main characters of Heavy Rain, one of the previous games. I imagine it's just the same actor who's named Sam Douglas.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. Once he pointed that out to me, I was like, wow, yeah. And that's hard to miss. It clearly must be the same guy doing mocap.
Yeah, totally. Interesting things here. Where it literally seems like you're buying, like, if you're at an airport buying, an iPod before your flight.
Like one of those Best Buy vending machines, yeah. And I like that, Imagined by Cyberlife, assembled in Detroit, kind of that idea of made in America, which is like, there's almost like this, like, it's such a big industry, there's like pride in the fact that it comes locally sourced.
Yeah, which is insane that you could just, you're turning them around, you're talking to them, you're grabbing info. Starting at $8,000.
It's quite a deal.
That's cool.
They're recyclable.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. I'm sure there's gonna be something in this game about that.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's the part where you get the sort of the train system, and you see there's this, a completely separate, almost cordoned off. It looks like a zoo for the androids, but obviously Kara is not among them.
Yep. I think it's interesting that obviously they look alike, so it's like you can tell which model's which immediately.
And that's the interesting thing is I'm imagining, like, are there other Karas? Like, we saw Karas
on the assembly line
at the beginning, and obviously she's dyed her hair to sort of
It seems
out.
like maybe she dyed her hair, maybe just the fact that she has different clothes on, people just don't think about it or notice.
Yeah, and it's crazy here. Look at this android to her right is just there to hold the umbrella for this woman.
Yeah.
More things at the bus stop, more androids. And it just seems like it's really like showing the society that's just completely removed and completely singular, which, if you're, I don't know, if you walk around any big city, everyone's just in their own sort of zone. But you get this pretty interesting moment near the end where the androids start realizing what this is and that she is free and they are not.
It's like they can tell, yeah. And I want to pause on this kind of billboard in the background. I like how it says housekeeping and cooking, because as you said, it does seem like they're specialties per android. They're advertising as a hard worker for you, hard work for her, free time for you.
Yeah, housekeeping, babysitting, cooking.
But yeah, I do like that the androids are aware of her, even if the humans aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, you see the androids, they're construction workers, but all of them are sort of looking to her if she's this sort of symbol of, freedom, or of this Christ figure.
And then this line here is, this is my story, this is our story. So it does seem like she's maybe unifying them, or maybe in some way representative of their freedom movement, or,
absolutely.
Maybe there are so many themes that could come into, maybe there's political figures who are trying to fight for more human rights, and that's hurting the androids.
Yeah. I think and this is obviously Valerie Curry. If you look her up on IMDb, it's very clearly that it's sort of taking that Ellen Page role of this is the actress, doing the mocap and doing the voice work and everything.
And the graphics, I mean, obviously it's obvious, but I guess we haven't called out specifically how gorgeous this game looks.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And at the end, it's going to say that it's in-game engine.
Yeah.
And obviously, we don't know what the mechanics are going to be like in this game. If you've played Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls, you could sort of get an idea for what it's going to be. And David Cage has already said that it's very much, he didn't want this to be a science fiction story. He wanted this to be a story that, dealt with technology that currently exists, at least in like laboratory form. So he doesn't want crazy time travel or spaceships. Well, I guess spaceships do actually exist. Did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah. I saw a hit film called The Martian.
That's cool. I heard that one's pretty good.
It is pretty good. Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, it made its debut here. We don't know when we're going to see more of it. Maybe PSX, but most likely probably next year at E3.
I bet they're quiet for a while. Yeah, I would guess E3, or maybe even Gamescom if Sony's back next year.
Yeah, I'm imagining this isn't a 2016 game, probably a 2017 game. But in terms of sort of tone piece, original trailers go, this got all of us at IGN super excited for what Quantic Dream is up to next.
Yeah, for sure. And yet another PlayStation exclusive. You have to wonder if Sony will just eventually outright buy Quantic Dream. I think it's another interesting kind of. They're operating as a Sony studio at this point, so it's super interesting the future of them as kind of game creators too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Andrew. We're gonna have a lot more on Detroit Become Human in the next upcoming probably months/years. So for everything else, Quantic Dream in Detroit, you're already in the right place. IGN.com.